Hey future generations, this is Dr. Stan coming at you with our new theme of the month. Welcome to June. It is Demystifying Neurodevelopmental Disorders. And so this hits really home to me. And it does because this is coming from a kid who grew up extremely shy. I remember being maybe 4 or 5 years old at a restaurant and not being able to order food for myself. And my cousin, Sachi, she's 4 days older than me. We grew up like brother and sister, best friends, and she would always just be the person who I thought she was so courageous and so brave and so amazing, and all she really did was order food. It was so crazy to think that I was so socially anxious and so shy and so just, I don't know what the right word was, but there's that aspect. The other aspect was I just couldn't read. It's not that I was illiterate, is that I would literally see words flip in my brain. I'd read a sentence and I'd go back and read a sentence. And my younger sister, Stephanie, she is 2 years younger than me, and she would just fly through books. Read. New book, please. Read. New book, please. I didn't read a whole book in high school. I will admit that now. And I was somehow, I don't know how I did this, but I was put into honors English classes. I was put into an AP English for my senior year. And I remember distinctly my AP English teacher, Mr. Holmes, coming up to me and saying, you know, Stan, I really don't think you should take the AP test. And I was like, Mr. Holmes, I think that's actually a really good idea. And just translate that all the way till about the age of 26, where I realized that I couldn't read. And it was the summer I got out of the Army, 2005, and I was starting to get adjusted in my brother's office. Obviously, I think I've told the story 100 times that he's still my chiropractor, still the best chiropractor I know. And I started to get care, and then at the same time, I decided that I wanted to take prerequisites to go to chiropractic school. And I realized that I had not gotten better than a C- all the way through, all the way from high school, all the way to West Point. So my third year at West Point, I don't know how I passed it, but we have a sociology paper. We have we have these big papers in junior year, and I barely passed them. And so I started to get adjusted, and then all of a sudden I started to be able to read. And my teacher at the time, granted I was taking a freshman English class at the age of 26, but he was just like, hey, you're one of the best writers I know. And I had never, ever gotten that compliment before. And it was really crazy because the only thing that really changed was I was getting adjusted, right? And then we can go even to another level where when I was really young, my mom I used to have this very specific brush that I would bring to my mom, and my mom would brush my back. And when you talk about what's happening with a lot of these kids today, there's a certain level of stress and static and interference going on in their nervous system and brain that they need certain things. They need to stim. They need to create certain stimulations that will actually take and influence and positively influence their nervous system in a way that calms them down. A lot of these conditions are epidemics. They are absolutely rising on an epidemic proportion, and many of them are confusing. A lot of them are roadblocks and dead ends where people don't know how to take care of them. And teachers are seeing, like, we have so many teachers in our practice, and the rise of special needs. I think it's 1 in 4 kids right now need some sort of special needs or special education. And that's just not okay, right? And so this month, we're going to talk about how this is, 1, possible, 2, where the cause is, and maybe potentially causes, there isn't just one singular cause, but how it's not just treatable, but it's literally reversible. And when you give the right frame, the lens goes in front, especially chiropractic being a core part of the healing aspect in the nervous system. Not only is there possibility and hope for these kids, but also these patients, but when we see brand new babies, we've seen an influx of babies in this last couple weeks, and the influx of babies, whenever we're doing an exam, what we're looking for are markers, signs, and symptoms and exam metrics that basically tell us, hey, this is how the nervous system is functioning. And when we look at kids that are 7, 8 years old and they have some neurodevelopmental delays or disorders or disabilities, we find some symptoms in these kids that we can identify in a newborn. And so one of the things that I'm so excited about is not only that we can reverse and help all these kiddos kind of regenerate their whole nervous system in a way that helps them heal from the inside out, but more excitingly is that when we give you the kind of the lens to look through, you're going to be able to understand how this is all preventable. Like the epidemics that we're seeing, they're not only reversible, but the forward increasing of them is absolutely preventable, and it all comes down to a simple lens. And we're going to talk deeply about that this month. Tune into the lives, read the blogs. If you miss the lives, tune into the Facebook page. And I'm so excited because this hits close to my heart, because I don't think I've ever said this on this blog, or I've really ever said this in public, but I believe firmly that I was one of those kids growing up, and I can understand what they're going through. I can understand the way that their nervous system is seeing the world, and that gives me a gift at helping them heal. And so thank you, and I'm so excited. Stay tuned.